We should be in a body that we love, yeah, and that we feel comfortable and confident in. And so that's the first part. Get clear on, well, what do results mean to you? What is your vision? Then the second part is, well, who do you need to become to achieve that vision, to get the results that you want? Because your current version, she ain't gonna get you there, because if she could, she woulda. So that's the second question we need to ask ourselves. Who do I need to become? If I'm version 1.0, what's my version 4.0? What does she do? What decisions does she make? How does she think? What actions does she take? What food does she eat? How does she show up in her training sessions? How often does she train? Does she prioritize herself? Does she set boundaries, around her time and her energy?
I'm Kitty Bloomfield, co-founder of New Strength and Saturée, creator of pro-metabolic food supplements and seriously saturated skincare. And today I have my awesome friend Amy from Warrior School back on the podcast. Welcome, Amy. We just had a good chin wag. We haven't had a catch-up proper catch-up for a few months, have we?
Kitty Bloomfield, it's so nice to be here.
It's such a whirlwind when you get on. You're probably just like, what's just happened? When you talk to me, there's a million things.
We've had an hour conversation.
Has it been an hour? Oh my God. I'm like, we'll just have a quick catch up. Yeah. It's so funny. Oh, I love it. I love it. Anyway, Amy has been on the podcast heaps. Pretty excited because she's coming to Craig's 40th / wedding in November, which is going to be super exciting. So she's coming back to Australia. How many weeks are you coming back for? 2?
3.
Oh, 3. So good. And we're going to have a big catch up. So exciting. She's going to stay with us for a few days for the wedding. So just be party time. Although Amy doesn't drink like Craig, everyone knows that I like to partake in drink every now and then. So no, we're super excited. But anyway, today we wanted to get on and talk about how long does it take? So when women join our programs, they join for various reasons, one or more of all of the above. So losing body fat, building muscle, improving their relationship with their body, improving their health, getting stronger, improving shitty periods, maybe perimenopausal, menopausal symptoms, digestive issues, sleep issues, just improving their overall metabolic health, maybe improving their relationship with food. And, they just want to know, how long does it take? So we love talking about this topic, don't we, Amy?
We do. It's probably one of my faves. And that question is probably one of the hottest questions I get asked. How long does it take?
So I think we're conditioned.
How long does it?
Don't you think? Like women are conditioned, and I was the same. They do these programs where it's like, get your dream body in 8 weeks, or do the 12-week challenge, or drop X kilos in a number of weeks. And I think we're so conditioned to wanting to, fix years and years of health issues and, years of not training in a way that actually builds muscle. And we want to go from that and the dysfunction and the metabolic issues to, okay, I want to have everything fixed in 12 weeks and I want to look like a bikini model. Maybe not a bikini model, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, it's interesting, Kitty, because, we have like 3 really valuable resources. And 1 is time, 2, I would say, is money, and 3 is energy. And when we think about time, a lot of the time, pun intended, we really think about time as we know it, like time as in calendar time, minutes, hours, days, weeks, months, years. And so today I thought it would be cool to put a little bit of a different spin on time, because when we're asking that question, most of the time we want to know how long it's actually going to take when it comes to that time. Like, is it going to take weeks? Is it going to take months? Is it going to take years? Would you agree? When you speak to women, often they'll reference time that way.
Yeah. A lot of them say, like, if I'm chatting to them about the program or they're chatting to one of my coaches, like, do you think I'll lose this many kilos in 16 weeks? Because we work in 16-week blocks. So they really want to have some hard numbers around what sort of results that they can expect. And I'm always like, well, unfortunately, and this is what we'll talk about. I think it's so difficult to, like you say, put us exact. I mean, look, and again, this is putting a time frame on it. Like I always say to women, like expect it, like give it 18 months. Like I say that, like give it 18 months. That's probably how, like if I look at the most successful transformations in our program to fully change their body composition, improve the years and years of health issues, 12 to 18 months. Again, it could be longer, it could be slightly shorter, but, you just can't do it quickly. Like you just can't do it in 12 weeks, can you? And we're going to talk about why and talk about where we
Yeah,
think
I
you
would
should
say,
focus.
yeah, I would say, Kitty, that from doing this for 14 years now and working with hundreds and hundreds of women, and from my own experience, it takes at least a year to build a foundation. We've spoken about it before on the podcast. You speak about it all the time in your work and your program. I speak about it all the time. When we're talking about a foundation, imagine a pyramid. And at the base of that pyramid, the bottom of your foundation really is energy availability. So, are you eating enough food? Are you getting the optimal amount of sleep that you need? Are you walking? Are you getting sunshine? Do you know how to, attend to your basic needs? Manage your stress and resource your body or nourish your body. That would be the base. And then if you step up from that, it's okay, let's look at the composition or some of those key principles that you teach in your work and that I teach, which is, balancing your meals, eating frequently, making sure that you've got your protein, carbs, and fats there. And then we could go up again on that kind of that pyramid and look at the training. Are we training in a way that works with our body where we're at right now? Are we recovering well? Then you could go up again and you could look at, your nutrient timing around training. You could look at using maybe, looking at your hormones and seeing if that kind of has an impact on your training and your recovery. Then you could go up to the top of that pyramid, which is like your individualization. So imagine that pyramid. Now, to get really comfortable and confident and to build a strong pyramid, it's going to take at least a year. If not, maybe like Kitty said, maybe around 18 months. And that's what, I've seen in my work is that it takes that amount of time. But let's break that down. Let's break down kind of what it actually, looks like time-wise within that, but that's the pyramid that we're building. And once we've built that pyramid, what really happens is that we're strong metabolically. We've got a consistent training practice. We've got energy. We've improved all of those those biomarkers. We feel better in our body. We're stronger. We're more confident. Yes, but we've maybe seen some body composition changes. And so that takes time to do that. And that's why I call it the long way home. And we can definitely shorten the long way home so we can make it more efficient and more effective. But how do we do that? So I think the first.
Can I just jump in and say, Amy, though, sorry to cut you off, but when you say the long way home, I actually think, like I say to women, put that in perspective. Like it actually isn't a long time. So if let's say you're 40, because most of the women we work with are in their like 40 plus. I mean, we do work with younger women, but let's say you've been dieting for 20 years. So you've been stuck on this roller coaster of restrict, then binge, you feel terrible, you've got low energy, let's say you invested 1 year and it's not like you go from 0 and then you get to a year and like you see all the improvements. You see improvements on the way. Your body changes along the way. So is 1 year really a long time to then spend the next 60 years feeling good and sleeping well, and having energy and like feeling confident in your body? It's actually not a long time. Really, is it? Or if you just kept going in doing the same thing you've always done, imagine spending the next 20 years feeling as shit as you do now. And when you think about it like that, it's actually not a long time. It's a short time.
Yeah. And when I talk about the long way home, what I'm inviting women to think about is that we can't take the shortcuts. We can't be seduced by the shortcuts anymore. We've got to, I guess you could use, I don't even know if this is an Aussie phrase, but like put in the hard yards.
You do. That's such an Aussie phrase, but it gets easier, right? Like it's harder at the start. And then it just becomes so easy. Like we were talking about it before about what we're doing currently for our training. And both of us are in pretty busy seasons of our business. I mean, it's always busy. We're always growing and doing other stuff. But, we're sort of at the point where we're just maintaining. We're not competing. We're not trying to build massive amounts of muscle or strength. And we were just saying how easy it is to maintain. Like once you've built the foundation, you don't have to do as much work. You don't have to I mean, you still can train if you'd like it. But, I train 3 days a week for like an hour if I get my shit together and don't message heaps and piss around in the gym and talk to everyone. So I can get in and out in an hour and 3 days a week. Like that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, but you got to build that foundation. And I'll always say to women, like, I ain't going to lie. At the start, it's going to be really hard. Yeah. And it's going to be, and I think we spoke about this on the podcast we did together when you were on mine.
Yeah.
So I won't go into that too much. But so let's talk about time and timelines. So really the big question is how long is it going to take to get results? Now, the first thing that we need to ask ourselves, like step one, is what do results mean to you? So what is your vision? And what do results mean to you? So for a lot of women that Kitty work with, and even myself, they want more energy, they want to build strength, and they want to create a body, that they love, and that a lot of the time that's changing their body composition. So losing fat mass and building muscle. Feeling stronger, feeling more confident, feeling sexy, being able to wear clothes that they want. And so that's the first question that you need to ask yourself. When you're asking how long is it going to take? Well, take for what? Take to feel a little bit better, to get some more energy, to sleep through the night, to have a healthy regular menstrual cycle? Or are you talking big vision, which is to create this body that you love, which is great. That's a cool vision. And I think that, we should be in a body that we love. Yeah. And that we feel comfortable and confident in. And so that's the first part. Get clear on, well, what do results mean to you? What is your vision? Then the second part is, well, who do you need to become to achieve that vision, to get the results that you want? Because your current version, she ain't going to get you there, because if she could, she woulda. So that's the second question we need to ask ourselves. Who do I need to become? If I'm version 1.0, what's my version 4.0? What does she do? What decisions does she make? How does she think? What actions does she take? What food does she eat? How does she show up in her training sessions? How often does she train? Does she prioritize herself? Does she set boundaries, around her time and her energy? Does she say no? You need to get clear on who that version 4.0 is, because that version 4.0 is the woman that will be the woman that has more energy, has insane strength, and has created the body that she loves. So that's the second thing that you need to get clear on. And the part of that, what I talk about often, is this thing called the expectation reality gap. So we'll have an expectation, which is, I want more energy. I want to lose, fat mass. I want to have, healthy regular cycles and not painful periods, or whatever our results or goals are. We'll have that expectation. Or maybe, when you start a program, you start working, with us, you'll have an expectation of what you want to get out of it. But your reality may not align with that expectation. The gap between your expectation and your reality might be really big. Your reality might be that you have been dieting for years or a decade or more. There's a lot of stuff going on with your thyroid, with your hormones. You've been undernourishing yourself for years. You're maybe in a really stressful work environment or home environment. Maybe you have 4 little humans that you're looking after. Your reality is that there's a lot of stress there, and there's a lot of stress in the body. And the work really is closing the expectation reality gap, closing the gap between version 1.0 and version 4.0. And the work really is in both areas. One, we actually need to adjust our expectations a little bit, which is what we're really going to talk about today. The time that it actually takes. And some of the stuff we can't rush. Like Kitty and I can't click our fingers and magically, it just takes time, consistency, showing up, doing the work, and then we get the results. So we can adjust our expectations a little bit, that it's potentially going to take a little bit longer than we thought, but we can still have the goal, we can still have the vision, and we can also begin to adjust our reality. And that's really the work that Kitty and I do, is that we're helping you develop a plan and a strategy that helps you adjust that reality. And we're closing the gap. And so that's kind of the second piece that you need to look at, is how are you actually living, or how have you actually been living? And often it's not in alignment with where you want to go and what you want to achieve. And that's totally cool. It's not good or bad. It just is what it is. And we just need to own that, hey, I've got a really big expectation reality gap and I want to close it. Okay, then the third part is, well, how do we get it? So what do we have to do to be able to get the results that we want? And so that is the plans, the strategies, that working with the coach, being led in our food, in our training. The how is the doing, the action. But the first two are really important. And so let's talk about timelines. So, all right, we're clear on what results we want. We're clear on our vision, how we want to feel, what that looks like. We're clear on our version 4.0, like what she needs to do. We know that we need to strength train. Yeah, we know now, as women, with really cool women being in the health space like Kitty and Libby and Leela and, Dr. Stacey Sims, we're very clear on the importance of strength training and how that's going to help us age. It's going to help with our hormones, it helps with our metabolism. So we know some of the research and the science behind it, but the how is like, well, how do we do it? Yeah, we need a plan, we need a strategy. And so having someone lead us through that can be really powerful. So let's talk about timelines. So I want to actually use a skill as an example, and then I'll use your bigger vision as an example. So like changing your body composition. But I think the mind finds it a little easier to think about a specific skill in the way that I'm going to present a new way to think about time. Okay. So I don't really talk about time in the sense as we know it, like I said at the start, like it's going to take this many weeks, or it's going to take this many months, or it's going to take this many years. Because what we'll get to a little bit later in the podcast is that there are so many variables that are involved in this whole journey, in this whole process. There's a lot that determines how you move forward in this. All right. So let's think of a skill. So a lot of women would love to be able to do like a pull-up or squat a heavy amount of weight. So I'm just going to use a pull-up as an example. If you were to ask me, Amy, how long is it going to take me to get my first strict pull-up? Now, I couldn't really give you a confident answer right then on the spot. I'd actually have to have a look at some things. And so I'd have to ask you, like, can you hang on a bar? Can you hang on a bar? Do you have some basic pulling strength? And so the way that we talk about it when it comes to skills is more in milestones. There are certain milestones that we have to achieve in order to develop the pull-up. So for an example, if you wanted to do a strict pull-up, but you can't even like hang on the bar for, 5 seconds or 10 seconds, that's telling me that the grip strength isn't there. And then if you haven't done any really upper body training and you don't have a lot of like pull strength, imagine like rowing, ring rows or bar rows or that tells me that, okay, you're very far away from being able to do a strict pull-up. And so there's a certain process and method that we would take to build that strict pull-up. So we would start with hanging, and the first milestone might be, can you do a feet assisted hang on the bar for 30 seconds or 60 seconds? And then once you've reached that milestone, we'd move to the next milestone, which would be, okay, let's do some unassisted hangs. Same thing, work to 30 seconds and then 60 seconds. And then we would build out the skill working on other like arm accessory work or pulling accessory work. And each of those exercises would have specific milestones that we would reach. So that's, maybe the amount of reps we could do, or the time we could hang on the bar, or holding ourselves at the top of the pull-up bar. There are all of these exercises and these milestones. And so what I can do with someone is start them off where they're at. So for example, you can't hang, we would start with feet assisted hanging. And then basically we would follow the process and the method to build out that skill. So you would work, your first milestone would be a 60-second unassisted hang on the bar. And then once you hit that, then we would build out other exercises or movements. And so I do the same thing when it comes to any skill. And then also that's how I talk about it with my women, is that if you want more energy, okay, that's the big vision, but we need to hit the first milestone. And so what helps us with our energy? Well, food helps us with our energy. So the first milestone might be the way that you start your day, getting something to eat within 30 to 60 minutes of waking up. And that's a milestone that you would work on. And then once you've hit that milestone, then we would work on, okay, now let's work on a bit more of the composition of that meal. So maybe it needs a little bit more protein, or maybe we need to balance out the carbohydrate a little bit. And so we would play with that meal until we've got a really solid breakfast meal, or 3 solid breakfast meals that really work. And then you've hit that first milestone, so we can tick that off. Then we would move to the next part of your day. What's the gap? Is it a snack or is it your lunch? And so basically, instead of asking, well, how long is it going to take for me to get more energy? We're looking at, well, what are the key milestones with the food that we need to hit in order to help us be nourished and to give us energy? What are the key milestones with our sleep that we need to hit in order to be able to optimize our sleep so we can sleep enough? What are the other key milestones that help my energy? So getting out walking, sunshine, training. Okay, well, then we're talking about training. All right, well, where do we start with the training? And that will depend on where we're at, where our energy's at, how much we can tolerate. But we might start with 3 days a week, and they might be shorter sessions, and they might start off, a bit lighter, or just with our own body weight to start with. And the first milestone with training is really consistently showing up 3 times a week. Can you hit that milestone? And I would say that's a milestone that you got to be hitting for at least a good 6, 9, 12 months, really.
And I love, can I just pop in about the milestone with the training? I think a lot of women say to me, oh, Kitty, I just don't, like, I train, but I don't look like I train. I don't have that strong, athletic, muscular body. And I always ask them, all right, well, take me through some of your lifts and what are your numbers? And when they do, I say, okay, well, you probably don't look like you want to look because you aren't capable of lifting the weights that someone that you want to look like could lift. So, for example, and this is something that we do in our program, which gives them, instead of a time milestone, it gives them a strength milestone. So, for example, they might be deadlifting and they have their current body composition is 70 kilos at 30% body fat. And they've agreed with their coach that they want to get to 68 kilos at 22% body fat. So their coach says, okay, great, we actually have to train on this many kilos of muscle. So you can currently, I'm making numbers up, deadlift 50 kilos for 10 reps. We need to get that to 100 kilos for 10 reps. They're like, that's probably going to take a bit of time. So we're like, yes, So, and then it gives them an actual target to work towards. So however long it takes for you to get to be able to deadlift 100, it might take you 8 months, might take you 12 months, because you might have some little speed bumps along the way. but you will look like the woman that you want to look like when you become capable of lifting the weights that woman can lift. And that, like you say, could take 6 months, 8 months, 9 months, 10 months. I mean, it obviously takes time to add 50 kilos to your deadlift, but you know, like I know that when you're new and if you can pick up the skill of lifting and you apply yourself and you upload your training videos for us to watch and get feedback, it'll happen quicker because your skill development, you know, you'll just see those increases because of the skill development and then you'll put on muscle. But I think, you know, for me, like that really made a lot of sense for me when I first met Craig, because he's like, well, you want to look like these women, like, I mean, Hattie Boyd was pretty fucking jacked, but like, maybe won't look like her, but you know, just these athletic women that have muscle, these strength athletes. He's like, but you're just not strong. Like you can't deadlift what they can deadlift you. And now that I can, I obviously look, I mean, not everyone wants to look as muscular as us, but I think, you know, the woman that you want to look like, that toned body with more muscle, less body fat, is capable of a lot more than you're capable of now. So instead of going to yourself, fuck, it needs to happen in 12 months, go, this is what, like, I find it more fun to go, I'm just going to get into that gym and I'm just going to lift like a beast. And I'm going to put all my effort into being a better lifter and showing up every week and trying to get better at this skill. It's just so much more enjoyable. And then if you get nutrition right, as you get stronger, you will see your body will change. Hey, like we see it all the time with our clients. Even this client I interviewed today who'd never lifted before, she's a nutritionist. She's like, I never actually thought, Kitty, that I would love lifting as much as I do. She said, it is awesome. And she's like, now I go into the gym and I watch other people. I'm like, that technique isn't quite right. You know, like she's learnt so much about the lifting and she trains just 3 days a week. She's like, it's easy. It's perfect. I can fit it into my life. She's like, and you know, one of the things that she said is like, I just feel so good. I feel so strong. I feel confident in my body again, because she was one of those women that gained a lot of weight eating the pro-metabolic without tracking. And so now she's lost the body fat, built the muscle, and she's like, I just feel good. I feel happy, you know? And like we always say, nothing wrong with wanting to change how you look. You know, there's nothing wrong with that. You can still love yourself and want to change yourself at the same time. So anyway, sorry, I just really like what you said about that, because that's how I like to think about it too. Instead of going, is it going to be 12 months? Is it going to be 8 months? Going, okay, what are the numbers that I need to hit in the gym? You want to do the pull up. What are the milestones that I need to hit that will allow me to achieve that pull up? So instead of focusing on, fuck, it's got to be 6 months, go, just going to focus on getting to the next milestone. It's just more enjoyable too.
If we want to build insane strength, if we want to lose body fat, if we want to create the body that we love, well, we need to train. So that would be the first milestone is, okay, well, we got to have a consistent training practice. And then, yeah, I love what you said, Kitty. Within that, there are so many milestones there. We know that we got to lift heavy. Yeah, it's really important as we age. It's important for our bones. It's important for us to build, maintain our muscle mass. It's important for our metabolic health. Like it's also what creates that lean, strong physique that we look at and that we really love. And so if we know that, okay, I've got to lift heavy, all right, well, we got to start with the movement. So we got to start with the squats and the deadlifts and the pulls and the presses. Okay, where are we at right now? And this is why the assessment of like, okay, you're at here, which is like, you know, A or version 1.0, and we need to be at, you know, Z or, you know, whatever letter version 4.0 is going to lift way heavier than what you can currently do. And that takes time. It takes time to learn the movement, the technique. It takes time to learn how to create tension. It takes time to build weight on the bar. But for sure, if you're a beginner and you haven't done a lot of strength training, you are blessed because you have beginner gains,
the newbie gains that they're so good.
Kitty and I don't get to experience. We have to work our butt off to add like 2 kilos or 5 kilos to a lift now. It's so much harder. The cool thing is when you start and you haven't had a lot of experience strength training or strength training properly, I'm really going to say a lot of women have done a bit of resistance
like
training.
I used to do.
But yeah, like
same.
Kitty used to do. But I mean like properly, like get taught how to do it properly. you're going to have a lot of newbie gains at the start, which is cool. It's fun and it's exciting. But then after that, it is going to take time to build the weight on the bar. But within all of those lifts and training, you have milestones. And that's why following a program is really important, because the program is full of milestone. It's full of progressive overload, which are the variables that are going to help you progress forward towards the body that you want to create. And so, yeah, we can have milestones within the training, but the key milestone really is you need to train consistently. You need to train at least 3 times a week. Strength train 3 times a week consistently for a year. And within that, then yes, you're trying to work towards key milestones to achieve a skill that is done well, and to progress. And progression, yes, it can be lifting more weight. It could be going slower. It could be making it more technical, whatever kind of progressive overload you're using. And it's really, there are so many variables that determine how you move forward with that. And I think that's the really important thing. You know, we can't ask, okay, well, how long is it going to take me to put on X amount of muscle? Yeah, okay, there's some research out there saying, you know, if you're a beginner, give it 12 weeks and then you'll notice, you know, an increase in muscle mass. And same with fat, you know, how long is it going to take me to lose this fat? Yeah, there's some research and science out there saying, yeah, okay, you know, about 0.5 kilo, you know, a week is kind of a good amount for you to, you know, to lose over amount of time. And then obviously that depends on your body weight. Yeah, the more, you know, fat mass that we have, you know, the more weight we might lose, the leaner we are, the longer it might take or the harder it might be. So yes, there's some research out there, but it's the wrong question. You know, instead of asking, you know, those 2 questions, we need to ask, okay, who do I need to become to build muscle and lose fat? Who is that woman? That woman, she trains, she prioritizes her sleep, she prioritizes her nutrition, she meal preps, she eats frequently, she eats enough protein. When she gets into the gym, she shows up and she works hard. Yeah, she tries hard. She progresses her training. That's an important question. So who do you need to become? The other part is, okay, well, everything has a process and a method. If we're talking about timelines, what we're really talking about is what is the process and the method that I need to follow? And we just need to keep doing that. So if we want to get that pull up, or if we want to have more energy, what's the process and the method that you need to follow? And so with the energy one, okay, we know what gives us energy, food. Okay, well, what's my process and method with my food? Okay, eat within 30 to 60 minutes of waking up, eat every 4 hours or so, get enough protein in, get enough calories in, balance my meals. Like that's your process. Those are your milestones. And so stop asking, okay, when am I going to get more energy, or when am I going to have a regular cycle, and follow the process and the method that will get you there. But we can't tell you exactly when that will be, because there's a lot that determines how you move forward. And what I mean by that is that there are a lot of variables involved in this, because we've got life and life brings sickness, injury, little humans, responsibility, work, you know, all of these things can kind of come up in life, and that can determine how we move forward. We've also got our mind and our mindset and the story that we tell ourselves as well. And so then we need to look at, okay, if I'm getting frustrated that it's taking longer than I thought it would, well, one, I would say, okay, we need to sit down with your coach, hopefully, and look at, okay, how do we stay the course? Because if you found someone like Kitty or Libby or Leela or myself, you know, we've got the plan, we've got the strategy. I often tell my women, I'm not holding a secret. I don't have a secret here that's gonna that I'm withholding. Here's the journey. You know, here is how we build the foundation. Here is how we create the body that you love. That's not the hard part. The hard part is staying the course when it gets hard. The hard part is staying the course when maybe a few months down the road that you maybe haven't consistently done some of your sessions, or you haven't been, prepped your food as much, or you're not on point with the food plan, that you've been given, or some of the choices that you're making aren't in alignment with where you want to go. And so then the work is about staying the course, not finding a new course. And so there are so many things that are going to determine how you move forward. Now, Kitty and Libby and Leela and the other women out in this space and myself, we've done the work for you. Yeah, we've done it ourselves. We've been doing it. I've been doing it for 14 years. Like, we know the journey or the course. It's about, okay, well then helping you move forward in the most efficient, effective way that we can, and helping you deal with all of those things that are determining how you're moving forward, or the pace or the rate that you're moving forward at. And I think that's where the biggest resistance and friction comes up for a lot of women, is that the pace isn't fast enough, or the forward movement isn't there. And there are so many variables that we need to get clear on about what determines how fast or how efficient or how effective we move forward.
Yeah, I agree. And the thing is, like I always say to women, imagine if every time you experienced micro failures, because you will, like no one is ever perfect and you'll fuck it up along the way. If you just went, all right, I'm just going to learn from this and I'm just going to get back on track the next meal or the next day, or even if I missed a training session, I'm just not going to throw it all out the window for a whole week. I'm just going to go, it's all right, I missed one, I'll just get back on track. Imagine if you did that every time instead of going, oh, fuck it, it's too hard, I'm just going to stop doing it, or I'm going to go and eat a whole large pizza or drink a bottle of wine. I think if you can just keep showing up and taking that consistent, imperfect action, because that's the women in my program, and I'm sure you would agree that are successful, they've failed heaps. They've experienced lots of little setbacks and micro failures, but the difference is that they just acknowledge that this is part of the process. And to be successful, you have to fail and you have to hit roadblocks. Same as within our businesses. And if you just pick yourself up and keep going, and I think you just got to train. Like I've trained myself now that things aren't going to work. Like in our business, shit will go pear-shaped. We experience roadblocks. Like I was even saying to Amy today, like, something that's happening in our business, like this is exactly how it was meant to be. I'm just good with that. Like I'm not super stressed about it, because I know we're going to learn something from it. We'll pivot, we'll make, like there's always these little issues. The bigger we get, the more problems that you have, but it's just part of it. And I think if you can train yourself to that it's normal, that failure is normal and okay and necessary, that you're like, oh, okay, it's all good. Like, I'm just going to keep going. It's not like, fuck it, I'm just going to go and jump back on the next, keto fucking diet, or like, cut my calories back to 1200. Like I've had women say that who've left our program, then they come back, they're like, Kitty, I just went, did the dumb diets again and it was shit. And my symptoms came back. I lost weight and I regained it. That's what they needed to do. They needed to go they're like, I'm ready now. You're right. I just needed to keep going. So, you'll just save yourself if you can learn from our mistakes, and our clients of going, I just gave up when it got hard and I reverted back to the thing that I knew would get me the quickest results, but ended up in the most pain long term. If you can just honestly I just feel like it's consistent, imperfect action. That's what it is, like the key. I mean, it's not the only thing, obviously. You got to be doing the right shit. Like if you're doing the wrong stuff, but you just have to keep going.
I love that. Yeah. I think what a lot of women don't give themselves is the time to learn all of that. So what I often tell my women is that, so the reason why I ask for a year is that it takes that time to really, yes, one, build the foundation, but to transform who you are, to learn all of this stuff, to learn how to train properly, to learn how to nourish yourself, to learn what works and what doesn't, to learn, yes, you get sick and you get injured, and okay, we have to work through that. So we have to adapt and modify. And like you talk about, yes, like not perfect, imperfect progress, but like we've got to allow the time to learn that. And it's we can't rush that. You can't rush transforming who you need to become. You can't rush learning, okay, well, how do I move through this illness that I got? Yeah. Or this injury that I got? How do I adapt and modify my plan and my strategy? That takes time. And we need to give ourselves that time to learn that. And so we're not doing that. As soon as something comes up, it feels like it's not working. So we go and try something new, but we haven't allowed the time to marinate in what feels like failure, but really isn't. It's just teaching you about what's working and what's not working. And that could,
I love that.
it's okay. We just need to adapt and modify. We're constantly adapting and modifying the plan and the strategy. And if we don't know how to do that confidently, it's going to feel like that. To me is really what it's about. It's like, yes, okay, we can give you the how, we can give you the plan. You can work on your training. We can work on the nourishment, and it could be going really well for a period of time. But then something's going to come up, and this thing, these determining variables about how we're moving forward. We're going to hit roadblocks, and it's not linear, and we're going to feel like this sense of frenzy and overwhelm and frustration, and like we want to fix it and rush and change. But that there is your invitation. I'm inviting you, stay the course. Stay the course, because if you found someone that is really good at what they do, that can lead you powerfully in your training and your nutrition and teach you the things that you need, stay the course and learn how to adapt. Okay, how do I adapt this? How do I modify this? That is, to me, that's kind of the work. And again, it's hard to put a time frame on how well someone learns that. It took me it took me a year or more to really learn how to build a foundation, to learn how to adapt and modify my training, to be able to just stay the course. And 14 years later, I still have to adapt and modify. And, I'm still playing with this whole idea of timelines. I'll have a goal that I want, and I'll go to work towards it, but something will come up. And there'll be a bit of frustration. I'll be like, come on, buddy, participate, or get on board. I want to achieve this thing. And same with the business, like what Kitty just said. If in my business, I don't think about time in the traditional sense either, because you can't, because it never goes to plan. We have a vision, and we're always working towards that vision. We always want to see forward progress, but I can't say, yes, in 3 years, it's going to be exactly here. 5 years, it's going to be exactly here. It's the same with our training. All we can be is like, this is my vision. Okay, what plans, what strategies, how do I do it? Who do I need to become to build the business that I want to build? Okay, and then what are the actions that I need to take every day to get there? And then when something comes up, oh, shit, it's not going to plan. Okay, what do we need to do? We need to adapt. We need to modify. We're staying the course because we're clear on the vision. We're clear on who we need to become. We're clear on what we need to do. We know that this is the right path for us. So the whole goal is to stay the course. And hopefully, over time, we learn what determines how we move forward. Hey, actually, if I make that choice, that's really not moving me forward at the pace or in the direction that I want. So I need to make a different choice. And that's.
Yeah, no, I love it. I love it. And just reminding of something that this woman said this morning that I interviewed, who'd done our program. She's 9 months in, and she said, there were days, Kitty, when it was hard. I was frustrated. I wish it was moving quicker, but she's so happy that she kept going, because she said it's so worth it. And I would go back and do it all again, just to be in this place that I'm in now, because I'm happy. I feel great in my body. I've got more energy. I'm sleeping better. I'm looking good, and now it's just a part of my life, and I love lifting. So, really is 9, 12 months that long. It'll go quick, and you can either spend it, starving yourself and binge eating and flogging yourself with hours of cardio, or you can commit to learning how to strength train, doing some meal prep and learning about food and you'll enjoy I really enjoy, like I've been away, I think I told you, for a work trip and didn't have my normal food, out of routine, not training much. And I got back, I was like, oh man, I've just missed being consistent. Like I'm just so happy now planning and prepping my food, training again, just getting into that regular routine. My body feels so happy and I feel so happy. So no, I love everything that you've shared today. And I love everything that you're about. And I love watching all your crazy gymnastics things that you do when you train. And I'm just conscious of the time now. But because I obviously spent so much time young and crapping on to Amy at the start, having a catch up. But is there anything else that you think that you want to add at the end that you haven't?
Just maybe one thing that I've seen, Kitty, is that there is kind of a journey that you'll go on when you start that I've seen, a path that, I can tell you kind of how it's going to feel. So you're going to start something new, and that's really exciting. It's exciting to be like, okay, I've got, a plan and a strategy, someone to lead me, to support me. And then maybe you feel a little bit of friction because you have to learn some new movements, and, maybe you're learning a new app that you're using for maybe the work or the program that you're doing. And so the first 3 months are going to be exciting, but also, there's maybe going to be a little bit of friction there because you're learning how to lift properly maybe, and that can be a little frustrating. Then you're going to get about 4, 5, 6 months in, and what comes up for a lot of women is that they feel really frustrated that they haven't gotten big, long-lasting, massive body composition changes. And so that's what they really focus on, and they start to feel frustrated. They start to question what they're doing, the approach. And what I do with my women a lot of the time is that we really sit in to be like, okay, you need to celebrate the wins. So often women have gotten a lot of wins along the way, more energy, better sleep, better cycles. They actually do feel a bit like stronger. They feel more capable with their lifting. So you got to go back and celebrate your wins, celebrate what seems like small wins, but they're really important. And then you need to ask yourself, okay, well, let's look at the last 4 or 5 months. Would I do anything differently? Am I really happy with my effort, with my consistency? Am I happy with how I have used this time? Am I getting the most out of it? If the answer is no, okay, well, we need to change some things. What would you change? If you think about the next 4 or 5 months, ask yourself, what would you change? What would you focus on to help you get where you want to go? And so that kind of happens around that 4, 5, 6 month mark. So then we move through that, and it often starts to get really fun, and we start to really see really cool progress and results around that 12-month mark. I often tell my women that's when it starts to get really fun. You've built the foundation, you've got energy, you're sleeping way better, you've got the moves, like you understand the training part of it now. Now it's about, let's put weight on the bar. Let's make it harder. Let's progress. Let's up the intensity. It's going to get really fun at that 12-month mark. And this is where, for a lot of women, they actually fall in love with training because it's easier. They are the woman that now trains 3 times a week. They are the woman that now nourishes her body. And so that's going to take you about 12 months. So no, that's kind of the journey. And then, there's been times in my training that, you lose motivation a little bit. You kind of just go through, this is just maintenance mode. And then you'll go through a part where you'll get really inspired and you'll maybe have a project and a big focus. And so it's not linear, but that's normally what I see within that first year. And that's all I want to say.
You keep going, ladies. Keep showing up even when it's hard. It'll be totally worth it. So as always, guys, take a screenshot of the podcast, share it on Instagram stories, and you can tag me and Amy. I'll pop our Instagram handles below with your biggest takeaways. And then each month I pick a winner and they get a tub of Saturée Premium Collagen valued at $79 for free. And I will see you again next week.